Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Global Dialogue for Justice Global Classroom, where we continue our scholarly publication of Social Cause of the State of Emergency. Let's review what the study is about. It is a mixed method by the Justice for Victims platform about victimization. It's not an ordinary victimization, according to the report, but a genocidal victimization of hundreds of thousands of people who are victims and perpetrated by genocidal organization driven by an ideology from political Islam. The findings of the study include 152 methods of practices to date of crimes against humanity and a new form of genocide that has been going on for nearly 8 years. Our topic tonight, enforced disappearance, is one of the major tools of the new form of genocide. We have a special guest tonight who will tell us her harrowing experience and with her family with this method and practice of a new form of genocide. But before we bring her in, I would like to welcome with great respect and gratitude for my co-host tonight. He was a Turkish Navy officer for 22 years and was assigned as a Turkish naval attaché to Romania. He was the department head at the Center of Excellence Against Terrorism in Ankara. He stands out as one of the most courageous advocates against a new form of genocide in Turkey, tirelessly dedicating himself to securing the freedom of innocent victims affected by the state of emergency and decree laws. He is also the author of the book Erdicide, the creepiest human trauma. I'd like to welcome Colonel Hossein Demirtas. Colonel,
Hello,
how are
Dr. Morris.
you?
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I admire you for your introduction. Thanks a lot. Hello again.
Yes, it is truly an honor having you and helping us enlighten the world of what's happening in Turkey, what has been happening. And tonight is a very important topic for our global students, our global audience. So please tell us what the situation, our topic is enforced disappearance.
Yeah, normally we are generally focusing on the situation in Turkey, but I'm since approximately 8 years, I'm telling that this is not a local crime; it's an international crime because the results or the consequences of the crimes is not limited to the country. So now today we have a guest. She is a victim of this neo-modern type of genocide, and it is undiscussable that it is just an absolute crimes against humanity, minimum crimes against humanity. So we will have a witness. So it is very important for us, and this incident will show us that these crimes against humanity and also the genocidal crimes are not limited to Turkey. So the Erdogan's genocidal bureaucracy all uses all around the world the public cover, the state power against Turkish citizens. So today we will have an evidence of that.
So, our honored guest tonight brings a unique perspective to this crucial topic as she, along with her husband and two daughters, endured enormous suffering as victims of enforced disappearance. Their ordeal began in Pakistan on September 27, 2017, when they were abducted despite having the protection of the UN Refugee Agency, despite possessing asylum seeker certificates. They were unlawfully transported to Turkey and handed over to Turkish intelligence officials. Tonight, she will share her harrowing tale, shedding light on the unbelievable injustice and crimes perpetrated against them by the ruthless agents of genocidal regime. Please welcome Meral Kaçmaz. Meral, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
My pleasure, Marge. Nice to meet you.
So, Colonel, our guest is a very important, she brings important evidence of the crimes against humanity. What would you like to ask Ms. Katzmas tonight?
So, for example, the first one, where were you when you were abducted?
I was in Pakistan, Lahore city.
Yeah.
I was a teacher in the Pakistan schools and colleges in Lahore city, and also I was a PhD student at the Lahore University.
And since when were you there?
It was 2007. From 2007 to 2017, I was in Pakistan.
So 10 years.
Yes, 10 years.
And before that, you were in Turkey.
Before that, I was working in Africa. I was a teacher
Okay,
in
so
Burkina Faso, and then in Senegal, and then in Pakistan. I was an international teacher working international schools.
okay, since when were you abroad from Turkey?
1999.
So it means for the last 17 years, you were
Yes,
international, you were not in Turkey.
yes,
And
that's right.
you were then, maybe I don't know now, but then you were a Turkish citizen, isn't it? Weren't you?
Yes, yes, I am. I was.
Yeah.
Still, I am.
So now, here the fact is, she and her family were Turkish citizens. They were not in Turkey for the last 17 years, so they had nothing in Turkey to be responsible to. So no one can claim some responsibility about some criminal act because they were not in Turkey for the last 17 years. Is it correct?
It is correct, and we didn't have any arrest order, or we didn't have any warrant. We had nothing related with the criminal court in Turkey too. I mean, there wasn't any ground to be forced to go back to the Turkey.
Okay, so there was no official warning against you, yeah?
Nothing, nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. Okay,
Yes.
so there were no signals, no warnings, and physically they were not in Turkey for the last 17 years. Then what happened?
Uh, as you know, after coup attempt, they stopped embassy services to the school teachers. So we were not able to receive any embassy help work, and the Turkish government pressurized Pakistan not to give us, not to the stay order. We were not allowed to stay there. So that's why Pakistani officials suggested us to go to the UNHCR to get the refugee status in Pakistan, because we didn't want to leave the Pakistan too. The things were still gray, and it could be solved, and we wanted to stay at our home because Pakistan was our home. And my children were studying too, so we didn't want to interrupt their studies. That's why we went to the UNHCR, and we were declared as refugees with the permission of Pakistan, because UNHCR is giving this status with the permission of the state. So we were legally, officially refugees staying in the Pakistan.
Okay, so until now you said your story as a person. So what is the translation to legal side? So here you were not a teacher, you were a citizen of Turkey. And somebody attacked you, somebody attacked Turkish citizens. We will talk about that later on. Then the Pakistani officials said or recommended you to leave the country. It means some soft type of deportation. So this deportation is a sub-element of crimes against humanity. I will come to that later on. And your status later on was a refugee, means you were under protection of United Nations. Then you were living in Pakistan. You were not in Turkey for the last 17 years. Everything was safe for you until some order from Turkish officials, which was not directly to you, but Pakistani government warned you that they have some requests or some dictates. Because of that, you need to leave the country, which means deportation, and you visited United Nations headquarters and asked them to give you a statute of refugee. So this is the story from the legal side. From personal side, you can go on. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Being a refugee was not easy because we were not able to work, and we had to, we had to use whatever we saved before, and we had to change many places because I was feeling that we were being followed, and we have changed many places to keep our children safe, and finally we thought that we will stay in the Pakistan, so we rented a home and we redecorated and we continue to live there. And but later on, it was 27th September, midnight, around between 1 to 2 o'clock. We sleep late over there. I have just I even didn't sleep. My kids were sleeping, but I wasn't sleeping yet. So some people started to knock the door, but you know, this is not a knock, this is a knock. So they were about something like they will break the doors, and then they didn't have any official uniforms. They were plain clothes, you know, the daily dressing of the Pakistan regular men. Whatever they were wearing them, shalwar and kameez. And there were many vehicles which the government uses. I mean, it is the government vehicles. It's obvious because those vehicles were used by the government. The people who were knocking the door claimed to be police, but we asked them, and they told us they came to pick us. And we asked for their ID cards because they were not dressing like a police. And then they didn't have any ID card. When we asked them to show us their ID cards, they didn't have their ID cards. And we said that, okay, if you don't have any ID card, show us any warrant to take us. And they didn't have any warrant also to take us with them. And later on, while we were trying to explain, discuss, we were trying to access a lawyer, you know, trying to find a solution, they immediately at that moment they attacked my children. They started to pull them, and then when they were resisting, they were beating them. And then I have seen my kids were dragging them on the stairs. So I just remember the face of my child, and I afraid that her head will crash to the stairs. It was because they were merciless in their behaviors. And then when, you know, children were taken, but it's so, you are in the middle, you don't know if you have to go with them or if you have to resist. So it was a kind of resistance to them, but we have to go with them. It's a really weird moment that time. And even then, while they were also dragging us, they were beating us. And then with the force, they put my kids into in a vehicle. But as I told that, because they were dragging them on the ground, they were all dust, and then they started to bleed, and then they put them into the cars. They put me in another car. I was alone with 3 men. And in the car, they were speaking in the local language. I didn't understand what they were saying. Later on, one of them took my scarf out, pulled it out, and when I started to scream with the fear, he put my scarf on my head, and he did something, and it was suffocating me. He was suffocating me. And I started to scream, cry, and you know, you are trying to get this thing off, and he started to slap me. And later on, I asked them if they are taking me to my children. And then they said that yes, they will take me to my kids. And when they told me that I will take me to my kids, I had to stay silent and just crying. I wanted to open the door, throw myself away to be able to save myself, but my children were going with them. So I had to be in that car, and I had to suffer whatever they did to me to go to a destination. It took maximum half an hour, 20 minutes to max 1 hour, half an hour. And where we reached, I have seen they handcuffed my daughters, and they put black sacks into their heads, and it was totally dark, and there was just the headlights of the cars towards the kids, and they were walking in front of a wall to a building. And that moment was, you can't imagine how hard is this, because you see that your kids, what parents live for, to protect their children. This is what they exist for. And that moment you feel that I felt that I couldn't protect my children. I couldn't protect my children. And they took them in. Later on, I realized that the reason they put my scarf to my head was they forgot to put black sack into the vehicle they put me in. So they wanted to use my scarf to blindfold me like a sack on my head. And then that's why they were panicked. And I had to watch my kids walking with black sacks on their heads and in front of a wall. That was a torture to me, to my children. And we went to the inside, and inside I have seen the bruises and the bleedings on my kids. And then I washed my skirt put water on my skirt, and with my skirt I tried to wipe my kids. I tried to clean them. At the same time, I was trying to be looking strong. I said that no, nothing wrong will happen. Everything will be fine. They made a mistake. Don't worry, we are with you. We will all fine. We were trying to motivate them to take some sleep. And at night, they tried to sleep, but they woke up screaming because they were too much scared. And that moment, you know, you don't have right to be scared, because I was with my kids and I had to look normal. I had to look hopeful. I had to make them feel comfortable. It was too hard, and it took 17 days over there. After 17 days, they told me that they will send us to the Islamabad. They said that there will be a commission. In that commission, there will be people from the embassy. There will be my lawyer and some people from the schools, Turkish schools, and they will find a solution. What will happen? But when they said that the prime minister sent his private plane to a private jet to take us, I said that, come on, we are ordinary teachers. Why would prime minister send a jet for ordinary teacher? So I realized something was going wrong. Something weird was going on. And later they put again black glasses to our head, to our eyes, and they put us into the car, and they drove us to the airport. But when we approached airport, we didn't go through the common way of the airport. You know, the road to the airport. There was somewhere behind. It was totally dark. We entered from a back door to the airport directly to the plane. Plane was also totally dark. And in that darkness, there were many heavy weaponized men again. And they took us to the plane. And when they took us to the plane, I just told them, because I didn't know who were in that plane. I said that I have refugee status in Pakistan, legally able to stay in Pakistan. I don't want to take this flight. I don't want to get on this plane. And I am being put in this plane against my will. And I told this in English and in Turkish, in both languages, to warn them. I wanted to show that I'm not there in my on my purpose. And while I was talking, they handcuffed me again, and they put black tapes around my head, to my kids as well. And one of my daughter was 15, and other one was 17. And they didn't talk for a long time, and while they were talking, they were speaking English. But as you know, every nation speaks their own language, their own English. For example, there is Indian English, or there is African English, and there's Turkish English. So they were clearly speaking Turkish English. When I told them, I know you are from Turkey, they said that no, they are from Israel. And then later on, they started to, then later on, I said that if you are from the government, tell me, I will not resist to my government, and I will fly peacefully to my country, but tell me who you are. Once I said that, are you from government? And then he said that, are you the state? The person said that he is the state. And I started to scream, my state cannot do this treatment to me. And he said that, what have you done to your state, then your state is treating you that way? And I said that for 17 years, I just fly the flag of my country all over the world without claiming anything without claiming anything in return to my country. And that over there, I have lost my conscience. And later on, when I came to my senses, I said that those kids are 15 and 17 years old. You are not allowed to handcuff them. You are not allowed to, this is not legal to do this treatment to the children. And later on, he said that he said that he wanted to convince children to stay quiet, to release their feet, because they cuffed the feet and the hands. So so later on, I told my children that there's a huge mistake going on in that plane. We did nothing wrong. I said that you are the witness of my life. You know, we did nothing wrong in our whole life. And I said that just stay calm, try to be calm, try to eat something. And then when we try to sleep, everything will be fine. We said that when we reach to the Turkey, they will understand their mistake and everything will be fine. But meantime, they were, you know, whenever my husband asked or told something, they were beating him behind. So kids were able to understand the things were not right. Although we were trying to make them feel safe and trying to comfort them. Later on, we have landed to the Turkey. And they took my children and me in custody, and my husband, they took somewhere else. We didn't know. They didn't give any information what have they done to him. And they took us separate from my husband. And they put me and my children in a cell. And then after the next day till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we were together. And that place, I didn't know what to do, because it was so hard the whole way. I didn't know if they are taking us back to the Turkey, because we could be landed in Afghanistan somewhere and handed over to some terrorist groups. You know, it is very easy. Put something on me, make me sit somewhere, and put me in another crime. I was being framed. I was afraid to be framed by them, and I was afraid to for the kidnap of my children, because nothing was legal. There wasn't any official warrant. There were not IDs, and we were just in nowhere and in totally darkness. And I was keep crying and trying to pull myself together, because in that cell I didn't know where we'll take my children. They told me, because they don't have the phone number of my parents, they will give them to the social services. And you don't know in the child care what can my children can face. I told them, whatever happens to you, just stay alive. Just stay alive, I told them. Whatever happens, whatever you leave, while we were not with you, we will come back, everything, we will solve everything out, and we will continue our life where it was stopped. But later on, I realized nothing was like that. You can never continue your life from where you stopped it. And you cannot go back to your previous life. And it's very hard to continue as well. Then I realized that that moment was not right. Whatever done to me was huge. It was huge. And right now, I don't want this to happen to anybody else. After we were being separated from my children, they take me to the Ankara. It is another city, the capital of the country. And in the Ankara, I was interrogated almost 10 days, more than 10 days, I think, almost 2 weeks. And without my lawyer. My lawyer came the last 2 days, to just before I signed my statement. And while they were taking my statement, I have seen that, for example, I said that I was working in the school. They were writing that I was working in the terrorist school. They were writing their own words, not my words. When you say that you were a teacher, they were writing that I am the member of the terrorist organization. So once I have finished giving my statement, they put it in front of me to sign it. There wasn't my lawyer too again. And I didn't sign. I said that there is nothing, these are not my words. They are not my statements. These are not my words. And I refused to sign. After I refused to sign it, then they told me that they will put me in lifetime in the prison because I was in the administration of the school, and that means I was a terrorist organization, leader of a terrorist organization. So the judge can sentence me from 15 years to lifetime in the jail. You know, when you are being kidnapped, you believe what they will do. I believe that I will spend my whole life in the prison. And they told me that my only way to save myself is to sign it, because if I claim to be a member of the terrorist organization, if I give the names of my colleagues as the terrorists which were working with me, they told that I will be liquidified from the claims, but the others will be claimed with the terrorism, and I will be able to save myself. I said that, but I can't look at the mirror then, because every day they were coming and telling me that your kids are crying too much. Your only way to go to meet with them is to accept that you are a member of terrorist organization, and to sign that claims that I am a member of terrorist organization, and to declare my friends as terrorists. And I was crying all night because it's not possible. I can't even kill the insects, so how can I be a member of a terrorist organization? I worked all my life to bring a change to the lives of the unfortunate, to the children of the unfortunate lives. And then I worked too hard to do something positive for the world. I was dedicated. I have dedicated my life to the children of the world. And after you are doing all this, sometimes you are sacrificing from your own children doing this. Later on, I was claimed to be a terrorist. It was huge. I wasn't able to sleep, crying all the time, and I was asking God, please take my life, and let this torture to end, because I can't deny my life. I had Later on, I told them, if I accept your claims, I will not be able to look at the mirror again. Whatever you are claiming me to be, being a member of terrorist organization or head of a terrorist organization, today, tomorrow, the next court, to another court, somewhere else, even maybe at last at the European Human Rights Court somewhere, it will be understood that I'm innocent. But if I remember that uh, I named my friends as terrorists, I can't never sleep again. And I denied to sign whatever they put in front of me. Later on, my lawyer was able to make it. She accessed me, and I gave my statement. They sent me to the court, and they arrested me. They took me to the prison, and into the prison they hold me almost 6 months, 7 months in the cell, in a cell, in the confinement, solitary confinement. And then you can't imagine what is the meaning of to be in a cell in solitary confinement, away from your kids, with the all other innocent women. When it is evening time, when you are sitting in your cell, you are hearing the tears of how other women are crying because they are all away from their children. Some of their children are sick, and then some of them didn't have any relative to leave their kids back. But the worst case was they put a woman next to my cell. She delivered only 50 days ago, 52 days ago. And they put her into the cell without her baby. Her baby was not with her. And she was crying, screaming all the time. And it was done to her just to make her make a fake confession that her husband was a terrorist. They were just wanted to make her tell that her husband was a terrorist. Her husband was an engineer, and they couldn't find her husband, and they just put the woman into the cell to make a confession against her husband. And then they realized that they created their own terrorist organization by torturing women like that.
It's really hard. I'm very sorry for the ordeal your experience and your entire family. It's Colonel. It seems like it's a mistake. It's a crime to a family who is innocent. How this is happening? It's really hard to comprehend. This is very complicated, Colonel, and for you to tell us how
And
can this happen
just
in a
one
country?
sentence. Uh, can you imagine a child? She is 15 years old. In one night, she lost her friends, her home, her school, her parents, and she had to live in a place which she never lived before. And because they were our kids, they didn't allow them to study in the schools too. That was another problem. And the child couldn't go to the school, although she secured very high scores. It was she had to stay at home, and the only thing she could do was cleaning and trying to cook something because she was too young. So they didn't steal our lives only; they stole my kid's life too. And and we had to bear this in a cell which I am sitting and living alone there. They were too hard because my children could suicide. This is This is something which children really, it's too hard to bear, to lose that much lose in one night. They didn't lose it slow, gradually. They lost everything in one night. It was huge for the kids.
Unbelievable. I'm very, very sorry that this happened to you. And but your courage to tell us, to share with the world. We learned so much from your experience. And Colonel, what do we do with this kind of experience, with this kind of evidence of crime?
These are all brutal, yeah? Aren't these? So it's really difficult to talk about that. So it's really difficult to keep rational. I'm really, I don't know how to say. So step by step, I will try to explain what I have written down as Meral talked. So we need to consider the context. There are different contexts because in this genocidal systematic, they misuse, abuse religious values, national values, legal values, state power, international authorities. So first, all these in this story, there are lots of different elements. First of all, they are using state power against Turkish citizens. And as I wrote down, Meral said, these guys were saying that they were not Turk, but they were Israeli. Wasn't that so, Meral?
Yes, they told me. He told
Yeah.
me. I said that no, you are. It's obvious. Uh, your your Turkish citizens who are trying to speak English. I said it is
Yeah.
clear. He said no, maybe we are Israeli agents because they are trained too well to speak Turkish English. This is what they
Okay.
told me.
Yeah. So Turkish officials say that they are from Israel. They are wearing masks, and they are saying also, I am the state.
In
But
the plane, our eyes were covered. I don't know. I don't think that they were wearing masks because we were blindfolded.
okay. So, and normally the states come together and make conventions. And there are different conventions on human rights. And all the states say, we will keep ourselves loyal to this convention. And for example, European Human Rights Convention, also international human rights conventions, they are all saying people's rights will be kept by the states. It's something disloyalty. What is happening is something disloyalty to these conventions. And all the state men signs a contract with the society and with the international community. They say, we will obey the rules, the constitutional order, and we will respect to human rights. And normally, officials should protect the rights of their own citizens. But here, there is a deliberate attack to a Turkish family, 2 adults and 2 minors, under 18 years old, 2 girls. And they are torturing, they are grabbing, and as far as I remember, one of the girls have some broken part on the neck or on the backside. So on the rib, yeah,
yes.
rib. So it means a torture, and this abduction is called in international legal order as enforced disappearance. And enforced disappearance is a sub-element of crimes against humanity in Rome Statute, Article number 7. And also here we see that in Pakistan, even so, it's an international area. In Pakistan, their conditions of life were worsened because of the threat of Erdogan's regime on Pakistan. So it means there is no safety for the Turkish citizens all over the world. And this means also in another case, in another context, Erdogan's regime is a threat to international order because they are abducting Turkish citizens from other countries without any official engagement. There is no warrant and there is nothing official. So 17 days outside the realm of law. This is an absolute enforced disappearance, and it's an absolute part of crimes against humanity. So also I have heard something that the kids were cuffed on the feet and hands. Under 18 years old, I am saying, please note that. And there is no communication, no information about the members of the family. So they are all spread around in the cells, and they kept being tortured. There is no safety. There is no realm of law. They are all different elements of crimes against humanity. And 2 weeks without lawyer interrogation and fabricated wording, miswording. I have seen in thousands of cases such that they are always changing your word. Always. So this type of fabrication means also they are cowards, because an innocent official makes us this never. So they are aware of the crimes against humanity, and they are aware that they will be responsible in the future from these kind of international crimes. Otherwise, they shouldn't do any precautions. So they should do everything officially. They didn't need to do so. There are lots of legal ways of making some other people from another country to bring to Turkey, but they are not preferring that. So they are giving money. They are using other local crime organizations, criminal organizations, and they are all misusing all the state power and state facilities. And the other story in the cell. So a newborn, a new mother, I can say. I don't know the exact English wording. So 52 days, and they are threatening this lady against her husband to claim that her husband was a terrorist. But they are using the baby, and they are not allowing to feed the baby. All these elements, all these things that I have talked about, also in Islamic religious context against Islam. This is also important. Why? Because Erdogan's regime misuse Islamic values against these genocidal victims, and they are also using the method of tekfir. So it means they are claiming that all these victims of genocide are unbelievers. They are non-Muslims, and they are in a war, or they are at a war with these, or against these unbelievers. So this is a religious war also in front of their eyes or in their considerations. So such brutality, cruelty, violence misusing the religious values are also important, because it's a part of dehumanization in genocidal context. So they don't see these people, these Turkish citizens, which are more than 2.5 million Turkish citizens, they don't see such people as human beings. This is also an absolute evidence of genocidal crime in dehumanization wise, I can say.
And thank you, Colonel, for this important insights and your analysis of this crime, this evidence of crime. So we are concluding our lesson tonight. Ms. Meral Katmas, what is your message to the international community, to the world leaders, to our students globally who will someday lead our world, our countries, as you continue to fight for justice for the victims of crimes against humanity and new form of genocide in Turkey? What is your message tonight?
Uh, I just want to say that when you fight with your own people, actually you are destroying yourself. When I was in those cells, I forget about me. Yes, I was a very good teacher and I did brilliant work. But when I was in those cells, I have seen wonderful uh, judges, wonderful businesswomen. They were arrested with nonsense reasons. And I have seen there my state was suiciding actually. Because when you put those people, when you start to fight with your own people, when you start to terrorize lives of your own people, the no hope and no happiness can come to the country. And right now I'm looking at my country and I feel myself, before these things started, I didn't know what human rights is. I was a teacher and I was just focusing on raising my students because my only motivation was to bring out my students uh, as the brilliant citizens of the world. They were I tried to give them good jobs. I tried to give them good education. This is what my motivation was. But once we went through these issues, when I started to read the other human rights violations and what human rights is, I have seen that what I went through that day was because I closed my eyes. The other human rights violations which took place before me, I read in the news that there was many people who were even killed during the in Turkey. I have seen that during police was raiding a girl. She just asked to remove the shoes. The one of the soldiers or the police, I don't know, shot the girl to the death. And I have seen that there was another mother. She had to keep her daughter into the freezer for I think 12 days, something like that, to be buried because in the city they were not allowed to go out of their homes. There was a what was its name? Curfew. Due to curfew, they were not allowed to go out of the home. And when child was out, she was killed, shot and killed by uh, the forces, security forces, and mother took the body of her child and put into the freezer to be able to bury till the curfew was removed from the city. So I have seen huge human rights violations were going on, and I didn't see them before. I didn't notice them before. I didn't even listen to the news, and I didn't hear before. Once I have seen them, I just told myself maybe before I was aware of what was going on, and I put a voice, or I said something, or I do what I if I did something, my children's lives would not be destroyed. So later on, right now, the reason I am speaking is to give. I'm just trying to address to the conscious. to my own people, to the people of the world, and also to the people who did this to us. Because everybody was, I mean, they were doing that, they were doing their job because somebody dehumanized us for them, and they think that whatever they do to us was right for them. But the point is this: right now I am the victim, and that tomorrow might be your children will be the victim. Because whenever you are silent, whenever you are quiet, any human rights violation, the next day the victim could be you and your loved ones. So we have to speak. I'm not speaking for a revenge. I am not speaking to blame someone. I'm just speaking for that issue. This is wrong. To kidnap people from somewhere by force without any legal grounds is a crime. It's not good, and one day anybody can be the victim of it. I never thought before in my life I could be kidnapped. I could be put in a plane, transferred to another country. I never thought about this before. So right now, if the other people close their eyes, if they think that it can happen, this is normal, they don't know what will be the next day's results to their kids. Because when people get used to do wrong to others, there is no limit for them. Even when they take the lives of others, they don't feel any responsibility. So just I am not against to state. I am not against to any country. I just want this to be heard that to to destroy children's lives, to destroy women's life shouldn't be that easy. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Colonel, what is your message to the world, to world leaders, and to the international community?
So Erdogan's regime is a criminal organization. So they are all being disloyal to international and national also rules. It means they all lost their legitimacy. They are illegitimate now. Not now, they are illegitimate from the end of 2013. So such illegitimate organizations are a threat not only to their own citizens, but also to the global community, to the international order. So they need to act, and we need to find a solution to that because in the 21st century, there has been a genocidal crime, a neo-modern type of genocidal crime in all over the world, not in Turkey, not only in Turkey, all over the world. And this is an example of this international crime. And to the officials, such criminal officials, so you will be taken responsible. All these politics will go away, but you are public officers and such judges, prosecutors, police officers. They have their own signatures under all such official documents, indictments, trials. So you have no way to run away from this criminal acts. You will be taken responsible. And also, the United Nations Working Group Against Arbitrary Detention stated that this Erdogan's regime committed a crime in this incident, and they need to pay compensation to these two adults and two minors. And also, United Nations stated that this some sanctions, some judicial and administrative sanctions should be done against all these public officials. In 2018, as I remember, I'm not sure. Until now, there has been nothing there has been nothing done. So the criminal acts are going on, and they are all organized, planned, and they are misusing the public facilities. And all these compensations are being paid by Turkish taxpayers, not by the politics. So all these chain of criminal acts are now being written down, noted, registered, recorded, and in such a in near time, you will be faced with you will be faced with some trials, and please prepare your defenses. My last message is that. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Colonel, and thank you again, Ms. Meral Kaçmaz. And so, to our global students, I would like to ask you, what did you take away from our lesson tonight? What did you learn from Colonel Hussein Demirtas? What did you learn from Ms. Meral Kaçmaz? Tonight, I learned about enforced disappearance, a crime against humanity inflicted upon an innocent mother, an innocent father, and two young daughters by two countries. Pakistan and the Republic of Turkey were in cahoots with each other. They conspired one innocent family, and I have no doubt that they will be held accountable. Tonight, we conclude our lesson 7 with a heavy heart. For the victims of enforced disappearance, and many have not been found, and those who are in prison, like Hussein Ghalib, but the courageous people like Meral Katzmas, who refused to stay silent, gives us hope, comfort to those who needed to hear that you are not alone. Don't give up hope. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again next time. Thank you very much, and good night.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.